So on this past Sunday, we had the biggest sport event of the year. Super Bowl 58 ended up with the Chiefs beating the Niners 25 to 22 in overtime. As a professional Niners hater, I absolutely love this game. I think it was one of the. We'll get into the details of the game, some of the plays, most important plays, talk about the overtime, maybe some of the decisions that happened in it. But just to kind of start off the conversation, I want to know where this ranks in terms of like best Super Bowls that you've watched, Simon. Because I think this, and
Hmm.
maybe it's just because I hate the Niners so much and I was cheering for the Chiefs, like they were basically my team at that point. But this is like top three Super Bowls I've ever seen,
Okay.
and I've been watching. I've been watching since the first one I watched was 47. This is the top.
Which
This
one
is
was
in the top
I
three, I
suck
think.
with the numbers with the Super Bowl. Which one was 47? I
Ravens
can't remember it
Niners.
like that. Okay, yeah. I I mean, I've been watching for less time because there was definitely I have been less into football for less of my life. But I can say like while I wasn't necessarily as high on it while watching it, a lot of things about it towards the end brought it up for me. I would say I don't disagree with the top three pick. I don't know if it's the best. I don't know if I could give you my best Super Bowl, honestly, off the top of my head. But I think, I don't know. I don't know where it would land for me, I guess. It's
Yeah.
higher up. It's higher towards the top of the list, but I don't know if I'd comfortably put it number one, truthfully. I don't know.
Okay.
It feels weird to
I
have
think.
that there.
I mean, my number one is a very biased pick because it's the
Oh
one
yeah,
that the
gosh, I
Seahawks won.
wonder.
That will
Yeah.
that will forever be my number one Super Bowl. That's
I
probably
I
most
can
people's like
say that
least favorite Super Bowl.
yeah. That's fair. Yeah, that's probably true actually. You know what? Actually, I can give you my favorite Super Bowl because it was the first Super Bowl I watched, which was
Hmm.
Denver and Carolina.
Really?
That would have been the first Super Bowl. Well, that was the first like football game that I got really into watching.
Okay. Yeah.
So like that, I'd say that one for me would probably be my favorite. I don't know. Like again, I don't know if I could even give you a second or third. Like just overall, while watching this game, I felt underwhelmed for the first three quarters, and that is 90% of the reason I don't feel like I could put it. It feels weird to have it near the top, but what happened like towards the end definitely I guess brings it up. But eh.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at this in terms of like it gave me everything I wanted. Um, because yeah, for the first half it was kind of trending poorly because one of the worst Super Bowls in recent memory was Super Bowl 53 where it was like 13 to 3.
Yeah.
And going into the half, I was kind of thinking, I think I said out loud to my friends like, "Oh no, this is like the same thing that's happening again. That was
Yeah.
not a good Super Bowl. I don't want that to happen again." But I think because it turned up a notch and the scoring opened up to that ending, that's why I start to be like it gave me the defensive battle and the
Yeah.
offensive shootout at the end of it. Like it really encapsulated everything, which is just like so fantastic. Um, and I mean, I don't know if we want to get into like the specific plays of it more, but in terms of that ending, obviously a lot of the conversation is around the overtime rules.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been hearing that like Kyle Shanahan didn't know the overtime rules or didn't
He
tell his
didn't know the
teammates a lot of
rule.
the player. I think it's either he didn't know or he didn't brief his team on it. A lot of the players in the team didn't know.
I
I know
heard that.
Juszczyk definitely
Yeah.
came. Juszczyk definitely came out and said he didn't know that they changed the overtime rules. Either way, they weren't prepared. What do you think about the decision to take the ball first in this situation? Because normally that's a slam dunk in
Yeah.
regular season
Yeah.
overtime, but in the playoffs it's a little bit different now.
I think as a whole, the fact that this is the first time in the Super Bowl was the first time we've actually seen it in action, sewered a lot of people. Because
Hmm.
it's the biggest possible, obviously any playoff game is big, but this is bigger than anything else. So I kind of from a player perspective, I could kind of understand why they didn't know it. Because it's not like I'm not going to sit here and act like going into overtime I wasn't like, how does the new rules work again? Like, But even with like the fact that I was cloudy on it, because it's been a while since we've talked about the fact that they've changed it. It's been like what, they've changed it a year and a half ago, 2 years. Like it's not
2 years because it was
yeah.
Bills Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, like it's been a while since they've actually changed it. We haven't had to talk about it since, right? So I can say I was definitely not as it it wasn't fresh in my mind, but even then when I heard them say that they wanted it first, I kind of scratched my head a little bit because it it was a I don't know, it didn't make a lot of sense and I think that's what most people are falling on cuz even me as somebody who was a bit more casual on the rules, I was like I don't know about that one. Cuz
Yeah.
it's the idea that you're giving Patrick Mahomes the final possession. Like,
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I got it from a sense. It was a thing that didn't really strike because I knew the rules going into it. I think that their decision looks a lot worse given that a lot of the players were clumsy on the rules. Um, but I do think the reasoning makes sense. And as much as I would love to dunk on Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, I don't think I can as much here because I think the biggest kind of conversation that I've had after this is just like how, oh, this is such a stupid decision, such a stupid decision. There's like clips going around of, like Mahomes being shocked when they asked for the ball first because
yeah,
he's like thought it would be a given that you'd want it second. And I get that because obviously getting the ball second gives you a couple distinct advantages. One, you know the score going into it, so you know what you have to get. If the Niners only kick a field goal, you know you have to get a touchdown, so you're gonna be going for it. But I do think there's a couple things. I think that taking the ball first is not the worst decision because it kind of brings you to a point where, let's say Niners go down and score a touchdown. If the Chiefs go down and score a touchdown, then all the Niners need is a field goal.
yeah,
And with kind of how the game was going, where they were just kind of scoring touchdown, 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 I think that's probably what they have in mind. I'm shocked that the Niners didn't go for it on their fourth down. If I'm being
that
quite
surprised
honest,
me too.
Yeah. I think that kind of sours the whole decision because I think if you're taking the ball first, you have to score a touchdown. I think you have to be aggressive there. But I mean, the other thing is that people were saying Mahomes has come out and said that like the Chiefs would have gone for two to win it, even if they did get the ball second, and then even if the Niners had scored a touchdown, they would have tried to go for the win. I do think there's a lot of it. It is important, I think, to get that final sudden death possession. I think that's what Shanahan was going for. I can see the logic that maybe wasn't the smartest decision, but I don't know. Like, I don't think it deserves to be as lambasted as it was. Like, that's kind of my take on it. It still probably was the wrong decision, but I think there is some logic to it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what people are saying. There's logic to, if they wouldn't be asking the coach if there wasn't logic to it, right? Like it's that type of thing. But I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of them not going for it on fourth that also just struck me like it's almost like you're not sticking with your guns at that point, right? Because you're making the choice. Made the choice that you wanted to try and score a touchdown first drive. You wanted it. And then you're deciding to turn back on that, and instead of trusting your defense, trusting both your offense and your defense in that situation, you decided to play it safe and you lost because of it, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I disagree with that fourth. I think not going for it on fourth was a terrible decision by Shanahan, and arguably could have, if more than the choice at the toss, probably would have been was the reason they lost. I will say that this entire thing, sitting next to my dad, who is has been a very casual 49ers fan since like the 90s, like watching this entire thing was pretty hilarious because like I said, I kind of scratched my head at it, and I remember saying to him like, why would you want to give Patrick Mahomes the ball second? Like, of all the people you want following up your offensive drive, like why would you do that? And he went, no, 49ers are going to go down the field, score a touchdown, no issue. And then on fourth down, he went, no, it's a good decision. Don't go for it. And of course, Patrick Mahomes marches down the field and wins the entire thing because he's fucking Patrick Mahomes. But, like, I don't know. I think the entire experience for me in that fourth quarter and OT was I enjoyed it. I think that made up for the entire game that I just spent eating queso, having a good time. But like I don't know. It made up for it for me. I think you said that you don't I don't know if you said this on the podcast or before, but I remember you saying that you don't think that this game needed OT to be a good football game.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think OT really, really added to it. Everything that happened into it. Because I think a lot of the reasons that this game will be remembered is for all of the shit that went down in that overtime.
Well, I do think that adds to it, but I don't think it needed that to be a great game. I think it was already a great game before that. Because again, it gave me everything I need, even just in the first four quarters, in terms of defensive showdown, and then the offensive floodgates kind of opened. Like that's all I really want from a football game. And I think about it this way: if the game doesn't go to overtime and it plays out pretty much exactly the same way, all you have is that it's 22-19, and instead of the Chiefs going down and kicking a field goal, they're scoring a game-winning touchdown with like no time left in the fourth quarter. That would still be a fantastic way to end a Super Bowl, and that's kind of what I wanted to happen. I was still on the edge of my seat that whole time. If it didn't have like this, I think I did say this before the podcast. If it didn't like have the fourth quarter that it did, I think everything after the point where the punt goes off of the Niners player's foot, I think that's kind of when the game shifted, if I'm being quite honest, which, I mean, that's just tough luck for them. But I think everything after that point is really what elevated it. I don't think it needed the overtime to get there. I don't know if we want to talk about how unlucky the Niners were in this game. That kind of got me thinking, like,
yeah, there was a lot of bad. Yeah, that was pretty nuts.
Oh my god.
I remember thinking as well before Dre Greenlaw went down, he was having a really good game. Like I felt like I was seeing him all over the place. I don't know how many tackles he had before he got hurt, but he definitely had at least 3 or 4. Which was it first quarter or second quarter he went down? I don't even remember now. But
it was either late first or early second.
Yeah, but he was on good pace for where the game was tackles wise, of just like disturbing the run game, right? Like I don't know. I could very much notice the fact that he wasn't there. So for the 49ers, and I mean, no shit, he's one of their best linebackers. Like you're obviously going to notice him when he's not there. But I think that really shifted the game, and I don't know how you feel about this because truthfully, I'm not even sure if he was on Kelsey, but I almost wonder if that had anything to do with Kelsey stepping up a little bit more in the second half. The fact that they were down a linebacker, like I think. There's a lot of things in there that I think would have went differently had that injury.
Maybe I do think I don't know this off the top of my head, but I do think it was more of a Fred Warner.
And I thought that was the case too, but I still think not having that your second best linebacker, that still screws you for the.
Yeah, it definitely hurt them, but I don't think it impacted it quite as much as it could have, because I think where Dre Greenlaw helps a lot out in is run support, and at that point the Chiefs weren't really running the ball. I think you could tell that the Niners defense wasn't quite as good against the run, but at that point in the game,
the beginning they couldn't run the ball at all. Like the Chiefs, they were completely getting stumped every single time.
Yeah,
Pacheco turned it around after the injury happened, but you got to wonder if that changed their
terrible game.
Yeah, like
I mean that was also partially Pacheco not knowing how to hand on to keep his hands on the ball. Because he fumbled it 2 or 3 times, with one of them really costing them.
Yeah, no, it was.
But he did turn it around. There are people at Super Bowl party I was watching that were calling for him, bench him, cut him from the roster in the first quarter, and then by the time. It's the fourth quarter.
I will not lie to you. I was saying to my dad, there's no point in running. What are you doing? You're not going to win this game by handing it off. use the quarterback you're paying $50 million a year and throw it deep.
Yeah.
That was what I was saying. The only way that the Chiefs were winning that game was by letting Patrick Mahomes sling it. And I mean, it was kind of true. But, it
was kind of.
It was still a bit of an overreaction to what was going on in the first quarter. I still think without that injury, who knows what would have happened. I think that injury really, really just shifted things, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't even know if it was as much because I mean, obviously they're going to miss him on the field, but I can't imagine what that does for like the locker room in terms of like the players' motivation because it's like that's probably one of your most vocal leaders on the field, and to have him go out like that, he's walking on the field.
Even like in any situation I've been where like a player has gotten hurt mid game, you'd think that like that type of thing, especially if it's like a dirty hit that they go and that hypes you up. It doesn't. It like it lets the air out of the tires almost a little bit, where you're just like like it's. I don't know. It doesn't have the impact you might think, and I almost think that was the case for the 49ers, where it was the type of thing where, especially watching him go down like that, where it was like, that's nobody's fault. It was a non-contact injury. He wasn't even in play. He was running on the field.
The freakest injury like you can ever see.
God. I mean, you got to feel bad for him as well, because you got to think that he knew he was having a good game, too. Like, it's just like... Yeah, that's always rough in situations like that because I mean, what are you gonna do? But I mean, hey, that's football.
Seriously. Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, I mean, it could happen to anybody, but it sucks that to happen in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to kind of wrap it up by talking about like where do these teams go from here? I think both conversations are pretty interesting.
I think they are
because I think I could start.
Have you heard the shit people are talking about Purdy?
Oh no!
Like it's been. I feel like I have heard things that are just insane to say about a quarterback who's, I mean, gone to the Super Bowl once and gone to the conference twice in 2 seasons. Like it's.
Yeah.
I don't know what your opinion on. I think we've had the conversation about how good you think Purdy is. But I think he's good enough that you should not be having the conversation of whether the 49ers need to upgrade, at the very least, in my opinion.
I honestly think that is a fair conversation to have. That's not meaning to say that they should. Because I think it would take a lot to upgrade from him. But I think it's more that if I'm looking at the Niners roster, I don't even know where else they can upgrade.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
Well, the thing is, like, I don't think they lost this game because they were worse. Like they were not the worst team in that Super Bowl. They just lost. Like it's the type of thing where shit happens. I almost feel like for the 49ers, you just run it back. Like I think that's all you can.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think you have to. And you probably have. I do think you have to try to run it back as best as you can. Circumvent the cap as much as you can to push your problems down the road, because I think you have one last year at this before your window closes, because after this year is when Purdy comes due and a whole bunch of other contracts come due as well.
You no longer
there's rumblings that Ayuk wants out of town.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. It's like these contracts are going to come due. You're going to start losing star play. Like Trent Williams is only getting older.
I don't imagine Kittle will be around at least around an elite level for a lot longer.
Well, like thank God. Good riddance. George, it's like Caleb Hates scale. Aaron Rodgers, George Kittle. It's like they're not that far apart.
Close?
Yeah.
But like, okay, Aaron Rodgers, if we want to break this down, Aaron Rodgers, like, that's fair. Because I know where you land on, like, that politically, all of that stuff, but, like, that's fair. I don't know what George Kittle did to deserve being here.
Aaron Rodgers pisses me off because he's a stupid anti-vaxxer who runs his mouth. George Kittle pisses me off because I don't like his team and his hair is greasy and he's kind of a dick.
He seems like such a nice guy. I don't like every video I see of him is like, I want to be that guy's friend. Like
I saw one video of him where he was doing an interview with like the 11-year-old reporter where he was at the Super Bowl media night, and I was like, I had to turn my eyes away because he was being really nice to him, and I was like, fuck. This is not the image I had in my head of this guy. Fuck. So I turned it off.
You need to.
He's a greasy little whiner, and I fucking hate his ass. I hope he retires.
So you hate him for all the reasons I hate Ryan Kessler, basically. That type of thing.
That is a great comparison. Aaron Rodgers is like genuine, like I think this person is a shitty person, and George Kittle is the highest like level of sports hate, which is different than.
And I can get
There's
that.
a difference.
I
There's
mean,
a difference.
yeah, I'll always hate Ryan Kessler for deciding that he can just take shits on pucks, but I mean, like,
Yeah, exactly.
like, does that make me hate him
Very similar
personally?
kind of
Yes, but
Yeah, it's
There
a
you
very
go.
similar kind of thing.
there
It's
you
a very
go.
similar kind of thing.
All right. Well, I think
but yeah, no.
I think the last thing that we can touch on, because I think if I don't talk about it, people in my life will be mad at me. Let's talk about the halftime show.
Okay. I liked when Usher took his shirt off.
I got multiple texts at the same time going, "Why is he stripping?" I thought it was pretty shit, but I don't know what you thought.
Really?
I was
You thought it
pretty
shit?
unimpressed. I mean, I
Really?
It's not like I hide the fact that my musical tastes are very
Okay,
much
yeah, you're-
opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to this stuff. But like, usually, like for Rihanna's, I thought it was pretty good. Like for like stuff like that. Like usually, I can appreciate a good pop artist. This one is like, I don't know. It was like there was like 4 or 5 songs there where I was like, these suck. And then there's the last one was good. Like his last few songs were good, but like it was
He ended it well.
he ended it well,
I
but he
think-
started it really bad. At least in my opinion.
My
Again,
opinion of it.
once he took his
is-
shirt off, it got better. Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the Adam Levine effect, where it's like Adam Levine took his shirt off and everybody wanted to plunge their eyes out. Usher takes his shirt off and it's like, yeah, you go, buddy. But no, I disagree. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was like one of the best of all time or anything. Like nowhere near that. But I think my expectations were so low that I was like, oh, well, this isn't bad, because
I guess that's fair.
I think Usher was running an uphill battle because the NFL picked him like 20 years later than he should have.
That's
like
true.
nobody has talked about Usher for the last 20 years. If Usher did the Super Bowl in like 2006, oh boy, that would have been cool as hell.
Like 2006,
But,
2009-ish era, that it would have been nuts.
that would have been great. He would have been fantastic then. But nobody like remembers any of the.
I
any
also
of his music anymore.
like
It's like
didn't know any of the people he brought on stage, which is also again totally. I will admit, complete hick. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
you didn't
But,
know
like,
Alicia Keys?
No, I don't know who that is. I could
Really?
not name a
Okay,
single
yeah,
Alicia Keys song. So
Really? Okay.
like name one.
Name an Alicia Keys song. She's in the.
Okay, never mind. I don't feel bad anymore.
She does Empire State of Mind with Jay-Z.
Oh, that one. Okay. yeah, okay. I do know that one.
She's in that one.
Although
don't know if I
I
can
will
name
say,
you-
I found it fucking hilarious. I thought that they were like dating or some shit when I like saw the.
No.
And then he
Alicia
got
Keys,
married
like,
later
is
that
married.
day. And then
Both
he
of them
got
are-
married.
Both of them are married to different people.
Well, no, he
Um,
got married that same night after
Oh, yeah,
doing
yeah.
that. I was like, holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
I thought that was wild, but I mean, yeah. Interesting Super Bowl
Yeah.
halftime show. I don't know. Like,
Super Bowl-
the end was very solid. I did like it more than, like, it was watchable, which I guess I can give it that. Like, while
was just
I
like-
felt
I
like
was
the
just
weekend
fascinated-
one made me want to, like, I actively wanted to leave the room during the weekends, but, like,
Really?
yeah, that one. Like he was
We just
running
have-
through the
we just have
maze like
massive-
with an iPhone or some shit. Like what the hell was that?
I mean, this is me being biased because I am a huge Weekend fan.
Oh, okay.
But that's my favorite halftime show that I've ever seen. Like that. I mean, it's just because I like and know all the music. Like, I listened to after that Super Bowl halftime drop. He dropped like a compilation Weekend Greatest Hits album that I had on repeat
What
for
was-
like 2 months after the Super Bowl.
I'm blanking on names here. Fucking what was the one in 2020 again? It was like Shakira, like J-Lo, That one was good.
Yeah, Beyonce.
Oh, and the Eminem
Yeah.
one. I put both of those far above.
Oh, the Eminem one.
That one was real good.
I might put the Weeknd one is just because I really like the Weeknd.
Sure.
The like hip hop ensemble they had in
Yeah.
LA with Dr.
I'm
Dre
not
and
even.
Kendrick,
I'm not
like,
even
that
like.
was
I'm
good.
not a hip hop guy in the slightest. I thought that was fucking awesome.
That was a cool show. That was a
Yeah.
cool show. That was actually, yeah. That's probably I'd probably put that above the Weeknd. I do think also the Weeknd had a lot to go against because he was doing it in COVID and couldn't work off the crowd at all.
That's fair,
I think
guess.
he did like a really good job considering
What
what
that, like running through the mirrors, like I that'll
cool
forever.
set piece.
It
I thought that was a
wasn't.
cool set piece.
It really,
was.
really wasn't. It looked so
least it was-
dumb.
At least it was something unique. At least it was something unique.
Was
Rather than just, like, bringing a bunch of dancers
unique
on the
doesn't
field,
mean
like-
good. Like
I think it's cool.
It
I
looked
think
like
a
I
lot
was
of people will
watching
be on my
a
side
Zoom
for this
thing.
one.
It looked like I was watching a Zoom thing of like, imagine if like
For
one of your
2020,
friends
that's
got
so
like
fitting.
really drunk and like called you from like a club or something. That's what I picture. When I
was
watch-
cool.
He was like spinning
It
in
was cool.
circles. There's lights everywhere. I thought that was
it
so
great because
whack.
he took advantage. He took advantage of the fact that like there was no crowd, so he could do stuff like that, where he just kind of like goes to a back room with the camera. That I thought it was creative and I thought it was unique.
I guess.
Yeah, it was a great halftime show. He played all the hits.
I've just never been a
was
fan of The
fantastic.
Weeknd. I actively don't.
His
like
music
it's-
is fantastic.
His music gets
Music is
overplayed on
fantastic.
every pop radio station I've ever been forced to listen
Okay,
to.
yeah, because that's cool. That's just because you listen to like only the hits. Like you only hear "Blinding Lights."
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, everybody can get tired. "Blinding Lights" was is still one of the better like pop songs to come out in the last few years. It's just that it got overplayed to oblivion.
It was.
But
so
the rest of the,
that sucks.
it's a great song. It's a great song.
Oh, that song sucks so much.
You've just heard it too many times.
I've heard it so many
That's the-
fucking times.
It's a great song. If it comes up on my like Apple Music shuffle, I'm still listening to the whole thing and grooving the whole time.
I think I'd probably pull my earbuds out and step on them. Like I don't like that song.
This weekend hatred doesn't sit.
I don't like oh, like I can put up. The funny thing is I'm trying to think right now if there's actually like an artist that I dislike more, like music wise.
And the Weekend.
Like I'm thinking about it.
Weekend is great. How many Weekend songs have you actually heard other than Blinding
just
Lights?
just the ones on the radio. So like list like all of like the three that have been overplayed.
Blinding Lights, Can't Feel My Face.
Yeah.
And The
That
Hills. Are those the three?
pretty much. Like, and I do
Blinding
not feel
Lights
the
and-
need to
Blinding
go
Lights
and
and
find more.
Blinding Lights and Can't Feel My Face, I get. The Hills is great.
Well,
still
I don't
like
even
all
know
three
what
of
the
them,
hills.
but-
I don't even. I know there was like 3 or 4 that. Okay, I have no fucking idea what that is. But like, the two,
You probably know
those
it,
two make me so angry whenever they come on the radio.
they're still great. They're still great songs,
and they
but
still
they have
get
been
overplayed. Yeah.
They have been overplayed. But I mean, the rest of the Weeknd's catalog is great. To any of you Fresh Take listeners out there, listen to the Weeknd. Listen to his new stuff. Listen to his old stuff.
I don't think
It's
the
all
weekend needs our shout outs.
great. The Weeknd does need a shout out.
Yeah.
Underrated. Saw him in concert in LA.
Overrated.
It was fantastic.
I'm seriously trying to think if there's an artist I don't dislike more. Like I'm really like raking through my brain to try and like find something, and I actually don't know if I can.
What about like MGK? Like, there's got to be someone like.
I don't hear enough MGK. Like,
Okay, yeah. I guess.
like-
What about Drake?
Oh no, Drake. Yeah, probably Drake. I hate Drake more. That's true. Weekend can take my
That's
second
fair.
slot.
Okay.
Yeah, Drake pisses me off for all the same reasons as The Weeknd. So I mean, it's like
But the Week-
overplayed. Sounds
Except
like
the Weeknd is
crap.
actually. Except the Weeknd is actually good at music.
That's the difference.
They both get played the
Drake's-
same, and I get equally as angry when I hear both of them. So take with that as you will.
I'm going to listen to so much of The Weeknd after this podcast.
Yeah,
I feel like I just need to cleanse my soul after this conversation.
All right, sure, buddy. I'll go.
That's going to be my shout at the end of the podcast, too.
If only I could pull out. If only I had my Weekend vinyls here, I could pull out.
Oh my god.